I kind of worry about when I'm 80 and I got nobody to wipe my ass. Like, it's Deidre. Hello, it is Deidre, and today we are going to do something completely different. Not completely different, but there was an article on VOGUE.com. That's right, Vogue the magazine, that caught my attention. And of course, I, upon skimming it, decided you and I are going to read it together. I haven't read it in detail. Like I said, I have only skimmed it. The title of this article is Having a Boyfriend Embarrassing Now? By Shantae Joseph, October 29th, 2025. Let's read. If someone so much as says, my boyfriend on social media, they're muted. Girl, there's nothing I hate more than following someone for fun, only for their content to become my boyfriendified, suddenly. So will you expect free entertainment? This is probably because for so long it felt like we were living in what one of my favorite Substackers calls boyfriend land. A world where women's online identities centered around the lives of their partners, a situation rarely seen reversed. Women were rewarded for their ability to find and keep a man, with elevated social status and praise. It became even more suffocating when this would be leveraged on social media for engagement and, if you were serious enough, financial gain. However, more recently, there's been a pronounced shift in the way people showcase their relationships online. Far from fully hard-launching romantic partners, straight women are opting for subtler signs. A hand on a steering wheel, clinking glasses at dinner, or the back of someone's head. I've done that before. I actually did shadows. On the more confusing end, you have faces blurred out of wedding photos or entire professionally edited videos with the fiancé conveniently cropped out of all shots. What? Who does that? Women are obscuring their partner's face when they post, as if they want to erase the fact that they exist without actually not posting them. So what gives? Are people embarrassed by their boyfriends now? Or is something more complicated going on? To me, it feels like I have so much to say. I'm going to read through the article and then I'm going to say what I want to say. So bear with me. To me, it feels like the result of women wanting to straddle two worlds. One where they can receive the social benefits of having a partner, but also not appear so boyfriend-obsessed that they come across as quite culturally loser-ish. They want the prize of celebration and partnership, but understand the norminess of it, says Zoe Samudzi, writer and activist. In other words, in an era of widespread heterofatalism, women don't want to be seen as being all about their man, but they also want the clout that comes with being partnered. Okay, so there's more to this article, but I'm going to stop right here because I want to point out something very important. This entire section that I've read is from the perspective of social media. This is relationships as being consumed through social media. And I want to point out, social media is not real. Social media is an illusion. Social media is a giant mask that we all wear to then go out and try and interact with others wearing the same mask, and it's not real. You cannot be surprised that you see people trying to be something while hiding something, while trying to do something and then not do it in front of a camera, but they're still doing it. That's social media. This is a Vogue article. I don't know. It's my understanding that Vogue is very popular. I don't typically read this, but I would expect there to be more awareness of the fact that this is not based in reality. And I have more to say about that, but we're going to read the rest of the article. But it's not all about image. When I did a call out on Instagram, plenty of women told me that they were, in fact, superstitious. Some feared the evil eye, a belief that their happy relationships would spark a jealousy so strong in other people that it could end the relationship. Not saying it's invalid, but I do think that if you are going in consciously, being realistic in reality to this relationship, to a person that is also being realistic and has a healthy mind on their shoulders, you wouldn't typically have to worry about something like that. But whatever. Others were concerned about the relationship ending and being stuck with the posts. I was in a relationship for 12 years and never once posted him or talked about him online. We broke up recently and I don't think I will ever post a man, says Nikki, 38. Okay. I mean, you don't have to. You're fully within your right to not post your personal life on the internet. And that's coming from someone who used to feel some type of way when they were not publicly shared. It's me. Even though I'm a romantic, I still feel like men will embarrass you even 12 years in. So claiming them feels so lame. I mean, both men and women are capable of being embarrassing, as she put it. This isn't something that's reserved to only men. And I think that if that's how you see men, like not even the man you're with, if you see men in general as the potential to be embarrassing, you gotta ask yourself, why do I feel the need to bring a man into my life? If you think so lowly of men, maybe you should dig deep and figure out why you still feel a need to bring them into your life. If you're so sure that they're going to be embarrassing, why would you still do it? I wonder why. Claiming them feels so lame. Can you imagine if a guy said that about women? I wonder what Vogue would have to say then. But whatever. But there was an overwhelming sense from single and partnered women alike that regardless of the relationship, being with a man was an almost guilty thing to do. On the Delusional Diaries podcast, fronted by two New York-based influencers, Hallie and Jazz, cool, they discuss whether having a boyfriend is lame now. Why does having a boyfriend feel Republican? What does this have to do with... Okay, a part of me, as someone who is completely apolitical, I don't play those games. It's very clear, and I'm not surprised, like I said, I'm not surprised that a mainstream magazine such as Vogue would take the opportunity to throw stabs at an opposing party. I don't care. But it's clear, to use Republican as an insult, like, that says a lot more about you, Mr. Mrs. Vogue, whatever the freak. Hopefully, we're able to put those differences aside and see through the BS that is mainstream media. Boyfriends are out of style. They won't come back in until they start acting right. Read another with thousands of likes. In essence, having a boyfriend typically takes hits on a woman's aura. Perhaps the problem is that you're dating men that take hits on your aura. Like, how does this become such a massive generalization on men when in reality, chances are these are women who are attracted to specific types of men that are likely to be embarrassing. Can we just acknowledge that, please? I'm not saying that every situation is the same, but based on the perspective of this article and the comments that they have chosen to display in this article, it's very clear to me that these are people who exist through social media. That's why they're so concerned about being embarrassed, and that's probably why they're pursuing a certain type of man that is likely to embarrass them. Because they look really good in photos. Anyways, funnily enough, both of these hosts have partners, which is something I often see online. Even partnered women will lament men and heterosexuality, partly in solidarity with other women, but also because it is now fundamentally uncool to be a boyfriend girl. This is really sad. Like, this is heartbreaking to read. Not just due to the generalizations, but also the fact that these people are existing through social media so deeply that they're willing to demonize an entire, half of the population? Men? Zero accountability. Come on, ladies. This isn't the real world, and perhaps part of the problem is that a lot of unhealthy men are also existing through social media. Maybe social media is not helping this situation. Maybe seeing this situation through the lens of social media is not helping this situation. I will tell you what's uncool. Social media. Okay, let's finish this article because I'm running out of time here. But first, if you are new to my channel, hello, my name is Deidre. If you are into exploring relationships and psychology and what makes people tick and how people get along and dating, etc., that's what we do on this channel. We explore people's experiences, analyze, give okay advice, and perhaps ourselves evolve into the people that we want to be in the world and having the experiences that we want to have as far as relationships are concerned. We do Reddit, we do TikTok, we do emails, and we just have a good old time. So if you are interested, go ahead and subscribe. You are more than welcome to come along for the adventures, starting with this one. It's not just in these women's imaginations. Audiences are icked out by seeing too much boyfriend content. Myself included, it seems, as indicated by my liberal use of the mute button, when author and British Vogue contributor Stephanie Yeboah Yeah, boy. Yeah, boy. Hard launched her boyfriend on social media. She lost hundreds of followers. Oh. Even if we were still together, I wouldn't post them here. There's something cringy and embarrassing about constantly posting your partner these days, she tells me, adding that there is a part of me that would also feel guilty for sharing my partner constantly, especially when we know the dating landscape is really bad at the moment. I wouldn't want to be boastful. Sophie Milner, a content creator, also experienced people unfollowing her when she shared a romantic relationship. This summer, a boy took me to Sicily. I posted about it on my subscriber section, and people replied saying things like, "Please don't get a boyfriend." She admits that her content perhaps becomes less exciting when she is in a relationship. Being single gives you this ultimate freedom to say and do whatever you want. Like, men are evil and it's so embarrassing to have a boyfriend. Right? It is absolutely not every woman, but I do notice that we can become more beige and watered down online when in a relationship, myself included. I see what she's saying. I completely understand. I think that's been a thing for a very long time. I've seen male creators get a girlfriend and start including their girlfriend, and suddenly their female fan base is non-existent. They just trickle away. I've seen actual YouTube channels die because dude got a girlfriend, and that's understandable. I get what she's saying. I'm not going to invalidate that. But at what point do you separate the two? Like, do you want a relationship or do you want to portray an image online? Right? You get me? You got to choose what you want to do. And also, if you are trying to protect your online influencer reputation, ad popped up. If you are trying to protect an online influencer reputation, perhaps you should be a bit more careful with the type of people you're letting into your life. I'm just saying, I personally, if I got into a relationship, it's mine. That's something that I would protect. I have no desire to display it online. I have no desire to include that person in this little online situation that I built. Like, I don't want it to be like that. Perhaps in very specific situations, perhaps. But ultimately, in my mind, I would want to protect my relationship from that, because there's nothing like finding a great person and revealing them to your millions of subscribers, only for them to completely dump on you guys, talk shit about this guy, this girl, and beg you to not be in a relationship. This girl says that her fan base tells her, please don't get a boyfriend. Since when do they get to decide? Do you really want to be in a situation where strangers are trying to decide for you what you do with the rest of your life? Are they going to show up when you're 80 years old and change your diaper? You think they will? I don't think so. I really don't think so. It's wild to me that they would allow that to even cross over without care and, proper thought, proper forethought. But also it's wild to me that they are letting complete strangers, an ocean of complete strangers, decide whether or not it's okay for them to even try to bring someone into their life. That's weird to me. So what do you want? You want to be an influencer, or do you want someone to wipe your ass when you're 80 years old? Which one? There's a way to do both, but y'all are not willing because you are also very concerned about your own image to where you would probably dump a guy. It sounds like some of these women would actually dump someone in order to maintain their online persona, their little social media mask that we all wear. They love it so much that they would dump a guy to keep that mask on. I don't know about that. Perhaps all you need to do is just be more careful who you let into your life. And that's why you're here, because that's something that we talk about all the time. And hopefully you're learning something that they have not yet learned. Okay, so let's finish this article before my battery dies. From my conversations, one thing is certain. The script is shifting. Being partnered doesn't affirm your womanhood anymore. It never should have. It is no longer considered an achievement, and, if anything, it's become more of a flex to pronounce yourself single. As straight women, we're confronting something that every other sexuality has had to contend with: a politicization of our identity. Heterosexuality has long been purposefully indefinable, so it is harder for those within it and outside of it to critique. However, as our traditional roles begin to crumble, maybe we're being forced to reevaluate our blind allegiance to heterosexual. You see these little head games that they play in these little mainstream media thingies? It's embarrassing to have a boyfriend, so maybe you shouldn't be proud to be... Obviously, there's no shame in falling in love, but there's also no shame in trying and failing to find it, or not trying at all. True. And as long as we're openly rethinking and criticizing heteronormativity, having a boyfriend will remain a somewhat fragile or even contentious concept within public life. And keep in mind, when they say public life, they mean social media. This is also happening alongside a wave of women reclaiming and romanticizing their single life. Guilty. Where being single was once a cautionary tale, you'll end up a spinster with loads of cats. Oh, I'm well on my way. It is now becoming a desirable and coveted status. Another nail in the coffin of a centuries-old heterosexual fairy tale that never really benefited women to begin with. That's it. That's the end of the article. So what do you think about this? A heterosexual fairy tale. That's a new one. I understand what she's saying about being single. There is lots of joy to be had in being single, trust me. Like, ultimately, I don't think that one should cancel out the other. Being in a relationship should not cancel out the times in your life when you are not in a relationship. The times when you are not in a relationship, those are times that you enjoy as a single person. Like, if you then decide that you'd like a relationship, sure, there's no shame in pursuing one. I don't understand why they are trying to glamorize one over the other. It's not necessary. There's beauty in both of those. I personally, I kind of worry about when I'm 80 and I got nobody to wipe my ass. Like, I do think about that. I do enjoy being single, but also ultimately, I think that I am a person that should not be alone in the world. You get me? Now, I'm not going to deny the reality that it is hard to find people to trust. In 2025, it is hard to find people that you can trust. That is true. But perhaps if we put in the time and effort and use the discernment and are willing to say no to stuff that doesn't feel right whilst enjoying that single life, maybe that opens the door for something healthy to come in as far as relationships are concerned. The problem with social media lens is that a lot of them are not willing to take that time. A lot of that culture is very quick and very, superficial. Social media culture. I will end with this. The best thing that I did in 2020, what year was it? 2025, let's say 25. The best thing I did in 2025 is get off of social media. The only reason I was still on social media for so long, I hated it. The only reason I was there is because I'm an artist and Instagram came out and, it's a good way to share your work, or it was. Over time, in recent years, it's become clear that it is not even that. When you go there, you're a product. When you go there, you are being so heavily manipulated. And it may be kind of hard to see right now if you're still in the thick of social media use. But once you take some time away, and this is my own testimony, once you take a step away from social media for some time, when you look back at social media, when you reinstall the app to go and, message an old friend or whatever, you read that shit, it's like your brain is melting. It's like your brain cells are just disintegrating as you are taking in this manipulation. It's manipulative. I feel like a cow that escaped a farm, but then I looked back and realized we were just cattle. We were cattle. We're cattle on social media. It's not about you. Sure, some people are able to go on there and build business and make money and so look so fancy and beautiful and, keeping in touch with friends and family. That's how they keep you on there. That's how they keep you there. But at the end of the day, when you log into those apps, Facebook, Instagram, whatever, any social media that I have, all of my notifications are off because I'm only there for one purpose, and that is to help market my videos. For the fraction of a chance that maybe it will pull in some viewers to my videos. That's it. The notifications are muted. I don't want to see that shit. I don't want to. I got X the other day and I went and looked. I have zero history with X, and all I'm being shown is complete garbage. The types of posts that people are flocking to and spamming with comments and these little videos with these little sexual innuendos, and it's just complete brain rot. Brain rot is not only Italian. Brain rot is the crap that you are fed when you go on social media. That is the actual brain rot. I felt the degeneration of mankind as I was looking through those posts. The split second that I was looking through those posts, it was so toxic. And it's very scary to me to think that people are going on there for hours every day and just talking to these bots. Like, I guarantee you 90% of the stuff that I saw on there was probably bots. Posted by bots, created by bots, whatever the heck. I know some of them were AI. Some of them were AI. But this is what we do? This is what we're calling reality? I came from a time where we didn't have this. And then like half my life we didn't have it, then half my life we did. And I miss the half where we didn't have it, honestly. I really do. I miss reality. I wish more people could realize that they've become the product. There's very little to be gained existing through the little lens of social media. And doing so, you'll come to realize if you are open to hearing that this is probably something to consider, getting away from social media, chances are if you start to try to step away from social media, you will more and more begin to realize that existing through social media is akin to trying to breathe through a Capri Sun straw. Can you breathe through that? No, it's such a little fraction of air. There's no way that you're going to be able to get a full breath and actually experience life and breathing, right? You get me? There are so many things that want to keep us on there. Keeping in touch with family, promoting our businesses, sharing our artwork. But what if we could say no to all that? All my shit still exists without social media. My life still exists without social media. I can have a relationship and my relationship can exist without social media. Why do I have to share my art on social media? I spent 10 years sharing my art on Instagram. 10 years. Until recently, I realized, you know what? It didn't start out that way. I used to have control over who saw my work. But now I'm begging for 2 people to scroll past it for a fraction of a second and hopefully like it enough to click a button that tells me that they're out there liking my work. Hell no, my work was worth more than that to me. That's my soul. I put my soul into those papers. That's what I created, and it will always be a part of my soul. But I became more and more thrilled with the idea of those pieces of myself still existing without social media. I've reclaimed my world. We can reclaim our lives from this monster. It's a beast with many heads, and articles like this are what help keep people in that mindset and also allow people in that mindset to be manipulated into doing and thinking and saying things that benefit others and not yourself. Step away from social media, take a deep breath, touch grass. Get out of this mindset of generalizations and toxic political nonsense being thrown at you left and right 24/7. That's not reality. If we all went to an island right now, none of that shit would matter. Let that sink in. You may not be able to go to an island, but you sure as hell can bring that island to yourself by cutting off all that chaos that keeps you in that vulnerable state. Yeah!